Okay, hello.
Hello.
Golding, you there? Alright, cool.
Indeed I am.
Alright, everybody, welcome to the final race of the weekend. Round number 9. It's Austria reverse. Obviously waiting for some cars to come out. So, yeah, interesting track. We've got two Shane van Gisbergens here today. As it looks like Ashton will be the first car to leave the pit lane. It's Dan the Racer, the first car on track for the reverse track. Not many people, I don't think, have done this track. The penultimate corner obviously looking like the hardest corner, so I can't wait to see what that will look like in the race. But yeah, have you done this track at all, Golden?
I have done a couple five lappers here and there. It's very tight corners everywhere,
It is
as
very
normal
much
Austria
an
is. Yeah.
interesting track. I have a feeling Yusuf Goat and Yusuf Saeed and Campbell Adams will be setting mega laps unless Yusuf finds a way to bottle this. Obviously, Campbell Adams, I think, is currently the world record holder around Austria reverse in time trials. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do in session, as well as Yusuf Goat, who's I think third or fourth in the world currently. So those two look very interesting on pace. Websy as well, I think ninth fastest in the entire world around Austria last I checked. So, and fastest PlayStation driver. So we'll definitely be seeing times in the 103s. But I expect most of the grid to be in around high 104s because we haven't practiced this track using 105s. As Dan the Racer makes his way around what we usually call the penultimate corner down into ending sector 2. It's really weird for me to know these corner names. Probably have to get the track number to have an idea. Goes very wide with this corner here. You want to take it with about 50-35% throttle. Now, late braking here. Oh, never mind. Brakes very early. Very high entry. So far as we're seeing Campbell Adams, who's already invalidated on his lap, so that throws us both in. We'll go on board with Wesley on the lap, so we'll, drama coming out of pit lane. We've got Sir Joshi and Yusuf Saeed coming at the end of that lap. And we'll go back on board with Dan the Racer, coming around the final corner, very gingerly and smooth. It's going to be a 107, 108? 109. Wow. So 109.3. So he's definitely made a few mistakes there on that lap. The car comes just about ahead. We've got a Alpine coming across the line now. Aston Martin X Knight with a 107. Big Chris JP 105.1. We've now got a Haas Pugsy setting a 105.2, half 300ths off the other car as Campbell Adams looks like he's now starting his main lap. So we'll ride on board with him, flicks in. Now you want to hold gear 6 and touch the curb for rotation. Holding it up for 7, you'll flick up into 8. Riding into gear 7 and then shifting down to gear 5 for rotation. Now here for this corner, you want about 25% throttle. You messed it up just a little bit. Almost invalidated though, but first sector here you have to absolutely swing this car around, but unfortunately I think we slid a little bit too much time there. Now this is the hardest corner to get right. In my opinion, brake at the 110 to gear 2 and absolutely flick it right at the end to get that extra rotation. Shane van Gisbergen, I think his pins set a 105 lap. What can Campbell Adams do? Just over here, my preferential braking zone is just after the 100 meters, but he's got a bit of traffic that might be blocking his way. Cuts it perfectly. If we come across the line, here it's wide open as well as slipping. It's going to be a 103.1, 104.1 for Campbell Adams. So very close to getting a 103 as that Aston Martin series started lap in front of Campbell Adams. Quite late. Yusuf Saeed, 104.156. Sir Joshi with a 4.349, mega lap from him. And we'll go on board with Wedsy, who's now starting his lap through turn 2. Is he going to flick it up to 8? He does. Maybe just not do that though. Chucking it down to gear 5 full rotation, up to 6, and then flicking it down to 5 with about 25% throttle. Full throttle here because there's so much grip on exit there. And you want to break just after the 100-meter board. Oh, he's done that absolutely pinpoint perfectly. Opening the DRS wide open, flicks up into gear 8, just break at the 110-meter board. He's got a little bit far left. He's kind of mucked up a little bit on that exit, but still a very decent entry in the corner. Gets past the second 2, passing Campbell Adams at the moment. So one more corner to go, just breaking past the 100-meter braking board, flick it in for gear 4 for the traction. About 54% brake bias here. As you come across the line, it's going to be a 104 point flat. It's a 104 flat, faster than Campbell Adams. Man, he's hungry. Fastest plate section rather in the world, sitting on top. Got Cook starting his lap. I think but we'll see what magic he can cook up. It's a 19.2 middle sector. Not sure where that puts him against the pole sitters at the moment. And he mucks it up miserably there though. Very poor entry and exit. Would have lost about 3.5 to 4 tenths. Long straight. What does he break here? Got a bit of traffic. That will be very distracting. Next is it's been a very messy lap for Keith. With a 50 flat. Second sector. What do you do past the 100-meter braking board? You want to cut this curve? It goes very wide. Oh, is that invalidated? No, he hasn't. Luckily enough, what's his bank going to be? It's a 106.86. Puts him up into 14th position, and McLaren crosses the line. He's binned it. Poof! Into the fence he goes. That could have been a lot worse. Almighty God. Finishes his run. As we've got an Aston Martin coming across, he's going to be X9 on a lap. He's on the length up on his front. DRS wide open. What's it going to be? It's going to be a 6.9 in the final corner. We've got a Red Bull on a lap, or starting lap. It's going to be Campbell Adams again. Mercedes-Benz coming across the line of Dan the Racer. What's he going to do with lap? It's really marginal. Just managed to find a time. It's half a second up, but no position gain as he goes off the track. We've got a McLaren in the fence. Junkyard Doggy as it comes across the line, start his lap. Very hard to keep up with everyone. Shadows up in this, getting a 104.8, so he looks very strong. An Alpine coming across the line. What does that put? Oh, it's the other Shane Van Gisbergen. Golden, do you have any idea who's the other Shane Van Gisbergen?
No, I have no idea, but he's just sent that time on the medium compound 3 laps over, and that was a cracking run.
A very good lap. So lots of competition. I think he is just using this as an opportunity to learn, sitting in overtake. Some weird reason. Yeah. Thoughts on any? Wow. 103.7 for Campbell Adams. A mega lap for him. Jesus, very fast start from him. Sir Joshi faster than Campbell Adams in the first sector. What lap can he pull out? Swinging it right in perfect traction, right up against the green. DRS wide open now. What's his sector 2 split going to be as he comes down the hill, braking at the 110 zone? Switch it into 2 and then flick it right in. Oh, it's marginal exit, much more time he could find there, but really good traction though. He's up 3/10. He's up 3/10 on his own time, I believe, so he will put it out of Websy if he gets this corner right. He has to cut this perfectly though. Oh, he's gone very, very wide. It doesn't get that perfectly done as he comes across the line. There will be an improvement up to P3, but that was very much a 1 and 4 flat possible. We've got who's coming across the line. It's a William Scott who sets his first lap with a 1 and 6 flat. Red Bull of Campbell Adams. Ooh, another lap in the car, so hard to keep up with a 1-minute crack. Don't know where to look. Who's starting now? Dark and Shadows is finishing up a lap.
You gotta love it. Check has died somehow. Gotta love every single bit of technical difficulty. As drivers cross the line every 6 minutes to go in this Austria reverse qualifying. Just gotta love the dedication on show. Everyone setting 0.6s and upwards, apart from the bottom two are definitely, I think, gonna improve just to show how much they really love the no traction, medium traction, with a couple others who may need to practice a little bit, myself included, as we do have a couple drivers cross the line to start their flying lap, and a couple to finish them as Dan comes across the 108.7, improving on his time, but not enough to go to P17. We think he needs around 2 seconds at least. A couple more drivers crossing the line, yet no real improvements, as there's a lot of drivers in the pits. The next driver, I believe, to cross the line is the McLaren of Almighty God, who is on those soft turn, but he's around 3.5 seconds up on his side. He whips around that final corner. What can he pull out of the bag here? He's going to come across the line now and set a 106.5. He does beat the Sab of Puff X Knights in the Aston Martin, and Dan, who is in that Mercedes, as he actually slipped off the first corner and crashed, and that is unfortunate for IRO Almighty God, as he finishes his qualifying session provisional P17, but I'm sure Puff and Dan at the bottom will have something to say about that. Is really not what you like to see, just coming off a pretty decent quali lap. From my standards at least, it is just really, he's lost it in a really tight corner, not what you want to see, as Dan almost loses it as well into turn 1, I believe, just starting another out lap. A couple more drivers cross for nothing. As Campbell Adams still leading the way with a 103.7, Yusuf around less than just a tenth over of the 103, and Websy with a 104.0. Got Joshy on that 104.1, and Shane Van Gisbergen in that Alpine with a 104.5 to round out the top 5. I believe that he's a Williams just coming across the line, and he's Scotty, who is going to fly into the pits. And another Sauber who's also going to dive into the pits. I believe it is Puff, and there's an Aston who also might slap himself into the pit line. But J Cash in the Red Bull is going to start his flying up, so he's on board with him. He takes that first corner very loosely, getting a lovely bit of traction coming into the second corner, and just a lovely zone of what is now the first sector. That long straight is really going to be crucial with your top speed as he comes around, whips around nicely. 5th gear around here for traction, and knocks up to 6 and back to 5th, around 25% on the throttle. He's going to whip it around here. What is still now sector 2. What can you hear? Lovely bit of an entry and a lovely exit. Comes across the second of the DRS zones as you fly down this middle straight, Can he get a good bit of entry into this corner? Bit of a lock up there, just coming out, but is still a great move, great bit of recovery there. Comes across the third direction, which is now the long straight of sector 1, which is now sector 3. He's going to come around, just break after that 110 meter board, and just absolutely slip it down the back straight. What can he pull on his time? It looks a bit good for him. Bit of improvement. A 147 slaps him into P8 for the yellow flag. On track, I believe that is one of the Ferraris. It was Big Chris who had a bit of a moment, but he is on his outlap, which is all good for him. You see more drivers coming out of the pits to start their final couple qualifying laps. There's 2 minutes to go. Campbell still leads the way with that 103.7. Can Elon be the fastest man in time trial, I believe? Yusuf also in P2, just around a 10th behind him, so them two are going to be definitely fighting for that top spot, for that pole position. There's a caution sector, there's an Aston Martin just hanging on the Saubers out of the way. As there's going to be a lot of traffic now. There is about a minute left, and Big Chris has slipped just out of the first corner, and that is really worrying for the Ferrari. He's just stuck there in the middle, letting the Sauber go and letting another driver go out of the pits, and that is probably his qualifying done and dusted. Unfortunate for the Tifosi and the Scuderia. That is not how Big Chris wanted his fast lap to go, but I'm pretty sure if he gets a bit of a move on those soft compound tyres, he can definitely get another lap. There's another caution in sector 2 that I believe is the Sauber of Ashton, just letting the Mercedes go. That is not what you want. There's another there's cautions everywhere. It's just people letting people by, shitting the fan, and there's definitely going to be something happening at the end that is definitely going to cause a bit of shit. Apologies for swearing. You have drivers flying out. Which one is going to be next cross line is going to actually run aboard? If I can actually look at people on who is yet to cross line. Letter P has retired on track. Then quickly go to the oh, whoa! Letter P has actually gone sideways into the middle part of sector 2. His car rashed up on that wall. That is not what anyone expected, really. Both Ferraris having to slip up on their qualifying laps. As the driver across the line, Pugsy in that half sets a 104. Duple lap, and Campbell Adams a 103.3. He's spent so much time on his final flying lap, and that is definitely going to be a beautiful time to be coming this end as the session comes to an end. A couple drivers haven't crossed the line yet. J-Cash in P8 and X-Knights in P17. A couple more drivers flying around, as I believe the E-Car of Yusuf. Can he have anything to say about it? Unfortunately for him, it's going to be a very worrying 108.9, and there's cars absolutely everywhere. He hits an Alpine who just absolutely flies. There's cars all across that last back straight. Just chaos everywhere. You see the Alpine stricken there. I can't really tell who that is. I think it's one of the Shane Van Gisbergens just stuck out on track. You can see the Sauber of IRL Push slipping up at the end. Straight crashing into that outside wall and DNFing on his final flying lap. That is worrying for Sauber, as next across the line is the other Shane Van Gisbergen in the Alpine. He's on the sauce. He sees his counterpart next to him, sets a 104.5. Good time for P12. Next across the line is the Sauber of Ashton, who's going to come around and get a 137. No, that's a quarter after him. He'll start P17, and Campbell Adams in the Red Bull is your pole sitter for Austria's reverse here in IRL in this pre-season. Webby 5/10 behind in that Williams, and Yusuf dropping down almost by 300 of a second in the P3. Josh keeps P4, and Shane Van Gisbergen, the stricken Alpine who was flying around on the back straight, and he's currently with 2 front wheels wedged up on that wall. will start in P5. What an ending to this qualifying session, and I'm sure if Checkett were here, he would be going as mad as I would be. But what an ending, and it's just absolutely catastrophic. All this wish-wash happening everywhere. It's going to make for a cracking race. As you wait for these 5 reds, it is very wet here in Austria. It's 5 red lights, Campbell on pole, it's lights and away we go here in Austria, and it's going to be a beautiful start from the Red Bull of Campbell. There's cars going up and down. There's a car already, a Ferrari out on off to the side, off in on the straight. Cars going wide everywhere as they look to find grip on this very wet track now. There's carnage up and down Ashton. P18 up the back of the grid. Pugsy's dropped in a couple positions. Dan, I think, has moved up 1 or 2 positions, but it's just absolute chaos off the side. Dan's moved up 4. Shane Van Gisbergen's moved up 3. His counterpart is up to P4, and Websy will take the lead of this very wet Austria Grand Prix as you look towards this braking zone here. A lovely bit of traction needed here, and it's just absolute chaos. Lawless spray from these wet compound tyres, and they're definitely going to need a couple laps to heat up as Williams is going to take it down to what is, I believe, if it was normal, the second corner. But it's just so much different as I believe someone just gone completely wide up into the second last corner, and he's just absolutely really hard to find grip up and down this track as his tyres look to just heat up as we start this second lap here. Wedge is going to flick it around the straight here. He's going to fly as 120s are definitely the time to actually fly around this track. You do need, I believe, around 10 to 12 seconds if you are on the intermediate tyres or the wet tyres to your normal dry laps. There's cars just losing positions everywhere. You've already got the Sauber of Poof, I believe, pitting already on the first lap. So he's done a lot of damage already. His times are 151 on the first lap. So that's definitely something to do with him going on the pits really early, and maybe something with the wind damage off that first lap as we look towards where Shane Van Gisbergen, who is in P4. He's got Yusuf in front of him for P3 for company. There is going to be a lot of battling up and down this track as you quickly just take over. Yusuf's actually gone really wide off that corner. And Shane Van Gisbergen will take P3. Thank you very much, he says. And he knocks that Alpine up a position. And Yusuf's got Sir Joshy behind him as Gob drops down to P17 as Knights gets past him in this race. Joshy just has to break a little bit more due to Yusuf having that little bit of an extra wide one as Wedgie sets the first level 118. Well, that's more like it as Ashton and Pugsy are pitting already. Maybe damage is what is that? There's a yellow flag, I believe, That is a Puff in the back, having another catastrophic moment and a catastrophic start to this Grand Prix for Sauber as both drivers pitting in the opening 3 laps. We're still on board with Joshi, who's trying to get past Yusuf, and it just doesn't really stick for him here. They're doing 3/10 between both drivers. It's very tight and very tense. Every way you look at it, gaps are starting to form up and down the grid. It's going to be chaos from start to finish. He's using the ERS to try and get something towards him here, but nothing to boot yet. Can someone spring a surprise somewhere? As he's going to cut to Scotty. He's got Prosperic drop there in front of him for P10. Scotty having a bit of slip up at that last corner and losing a lot of time to the Aston in front. Websy sets a fast lap, the 117 point as to come back to Josh, who's still fighting with Yusuf for P4. He's one of the closer drivers on track to his the driver in front. He's actually the closest to make an overtake. He almost slips a bit wide, rides the curve and it loses just a little bit more time than needed. Campbell Adams sets that fastest lap on the wet tyres. And speaking of wet tyres, Shane Van Gisbergen with a 117.6 as Josh, it does get the boost on the first corner. Very big dive bomb from the Mercedes as Yusuf's going to force him wide onto the curbing a little bit and takes away that P4 spot from the Mercedes. He's going to look to fight him yet again coming into this middle sector. It's very tight. And it looks like Yusuf just gets ahead of him now, using that curbing for a little bit of extra traction. It's going to be bloody close here. As you look at the tyres, everyone is on the wet compound tyres, apart from Campbell Adams, who is sticking it on the inters. Even though it's absolutely bucketing down, he thinks the inter tyres are the better ones, and he's actually gained a little bit of time on Websy, who is the man who is leading the Grand Prix still from the first lap. Great move on the Red Bull, but can the Red Bull stick something here as we're right on board with him coming to the last corner as in a dive down the straight. It's going to be very tight between these two, up and down, and even more fighting come the rest of his Grand Prix. Campbell sets the fastest lap with a 117.4. Taser curving a little bit aggressively there, losing just a little bit of time as Websy and him ride that outside curb as much as they need, and 2/10 of a second between both drivers. Yusuf gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits at first of this Grand Prix, and I'm not sure it'll be the last one as a yellow flag, I believe, in sector 1. One of the drivers back there having a bit of a slip up and dropping down the order as it's on board with the Red Bull of Campbell, and there's another caution. I believe that is Ashton or Puff in one of the Sours. I believe it is Puff, just not having the best of time with grip and traction. Comes into the middle sector yet again. Campbell's trying to find just a little bit of a gap to get past that Williams in front of him. Just nothing really working for him yet, but I'm pretty sure that man, who is one of the fastest drivers in TT, if not the fastest, going to try something down the inside. Maybe this corner, can he make it stick? He does. He's going to be a switch track from the Williams, though, as Webbs is going to try it around the outside of him. But Campbell Adams, with a great move into the third last corner, makes it stick and takes the lead back from Webbsy to lead the Grand Prix. Webbsy's going to try and stick his nose in yet again, but the Red Bull has a lot better traction coming out of that corner, and that is a P1 for now for the man in the Red Bull, Campbell Adams. What a move. Campbell has brought that gap up already around 1.5 seconds between him and Webbsy. And Webbsy struggling a little bit for grip out there. Maybe those inter tyres for Campbell are working their magic as Gob in the McLaren comes into the pits and is currently in P6, and only a Poof behind him, who is not aiming the rest of the Grand Prix. As they're riding on board with the Alpine of Shane Van Gisbergen, he's going to dive into this really early and look to maybe scrub on another set of the wet tyres as Campbell Adams, he gets it with a 15.6, really gap as you move up into P3. Both Shane Van Gisbergens actually pitting, as Joshy is one of the closer drivers now on track. Speaking of that, we're going to quickly cross over to Scotty, who's got Drop Bear in front of him, who's in the Aston Martin. Can he get something here to work for him as they come around the first corner very nicely? Couple of drivers coming out of the pits. That's to be a little bit of a struggle for both of these guys. As my voice cracks. Scotty is going to try just anything to do, anything to get past that Aston Martin for P9 in a very wet Austria. In reverse, Junkyard will take the pits and probably go behind his teammate. Both of them going to be running P17 18 for the McLarens. As Shane does get past J-Cash, or Cash Mash, we'll call him Mashed Potatoes for the fun of it. Mashed Potatoes moves down to P8. Those Frey's actually running on the inter tyres. Shane Van Gisbergen, maybe of that little extra bit of grip helping him in this short come, as both Shanes are actually on the inters, as is Junkyard, as is Gob. So a couple more people trusting the inters as the rain does look like it's falling just a little bit less. You've got Joshy and Webbsy, Yusuf, and I believe Shadows, who's come into the bits who fit on those intermediate compounds. It's going to be a gamble, but as you can just see, Yusuf having a bit of a slip coming out of the pit lane. The inters are surely going to be a little bit better. Maybe the gamble for Campbell is, I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but if it pulls off at the end of this race, it's going to be an absolutely brilliant call on the strategy, starting on the less grippy of the wet tyres, knowing it's gonna settle down, not having to pit with everyone else. As Letter P, who hasn't pit yet, he's still on the wets, and he's still after a pretty eventful qualifying for him, he's up into P2, but he hasn't pit off those wets yet. Where's just going to be a lap that he is going to pit. Maybe he's going to dive around that left hand side of the track, and he's going to come into the pits. So Shane Van Gisbergen who has pitted. Everyone in front of him has pitted apart from Campbell, who's still leading the way around 18 seconds to letter P as Shane comes across and takes P2, 23 seconds. Wow. From Campbell Andrews, Campbell Adams to Shane Van Gisbergen. That is pretty much a free pit stop for the Red Bull, who leads the way on the 10-lap old intermediate tyres. Oh, and he's lap 11 of 36, or around 1/3 the way here. It is gonna be an absolute cakewalk for the Red Bull if nothing cucks him in the long run, as X-Knights is gonna have a lovely battle with Mashed Potatoes in the other Red Bull. There's a lot of battling in this middle pack as they come towards the top of this section. The Williams of Scotty gets by lovely as both Astons look wheel for wheel almost for a second. But it is Scotty who takes P10 away from both of them. Knights is one of the only drivers who haven't get off those wet tyres. Dan is another one of them, and he's got a big Chris behind him for company as they come around. He's raining left-hander. He's got the McLaren of Junkyard behind him as well, as Big Chris has a lot better traction on those fresher intermediate tyres. The rain is definitely not as heavy as it was at the start, and that really shows with the pace difference. Big Chris almost going right off that second to last corner. You can just see everyone is chucking on those intermediates as Knight's going to come in, starving that pit wall on the right hand side just a little bit. But he's going to fit those intermediate tyres on, I am going to presume, as Big Chris gains another position, as Knight drops down the order with a pretty worrying pit stop. Does have to fit the front wing back on, and he's going to drop down to P, I believe, 17. This man, Ashton, can pull something. He does have a 3-second time penalty though. Campbell Adams, yet again, another fastest lap of 14.3 for the Red Bull team. He still is yet to pit. He's making those inters last an absolute bucket load. This is a masterclass already from one of the fastest time trial drivers in. I've lost all my words. I'm just gonna not talk. Ashton gets another 3-second time penalty for track limits. He's on 13 seconds. Oh god, talking about someone speeding in the pit lane. Perhaps he's not the best of races for either side of the team, as Poof is dead last with 1 minute and 11 seconds between him and the next driver of X-Knights, as his drivers are lapping him already. You can just see Scotty, who's actually gone past him. He's in lap by top 11 drop. He's got every lap by drop back. He's in P11, lap 13. Surely at this point you'd be thinking, what can Poof, sorry, didn't mean to say Poof, fuck's sake, sorry, swearing. What can Poof do here? He's around 50 seconds to the next driver. I think this is really just for him a nice little show, just get used to the medium TC, just maybe use it as a nice practice session. You know, everyone doesn't have to be quick, and that's to be pretty, but as long as he crosses that line, I'm pretty sure he'd be happy with that. Campbell is still yet to pit as he laps, I believe, Gob, who is in that McLaren. You can really see the gap forming between Campbell and Shane Van Gisbergen, as it actually, Shane's gaining a little bit of time actually on Campbell. Maybe Campbell is out of that free pit stop range to help put Shane in a good position. So we need to wonder, when will that Red Bull pit, as he's coming up to lap 15, and he's, I'm pretty sure, the only driver who's yet to pit. He's coming around for yet another lap on those empty tyres. You have to wonder, how quick can he make him? How quick can he go? He's still in the 1:13s for lap times. That is amazing to see. How did he slip up actually coming out the first corner? My word, this man can do no wrong. There's a caution in sector 1. There is carnage between both the Selvers. I believe that was Poof yet again, who's pitted on the intermediate tyres. A shame at Gisberg and Sutton's the fastest lap with a 13.6. Beautiful for everyone. There's a couple of drivers do get time penalties, dark and shadows there with a 3 seconds. Campbell Andrews with a 13.3. He's still on the first set of tyres he was on, maybe going for that one stop come the end of the race, maybe waiting for a dry line to form and just let DRS to open come the end of this race. You can see him just using a bit of the wet patch of the course there just to cool down those tyres, taking the inside line to mop up any water just to form an even better dry line when the rain does eventually fall, or maybe he's using it to cool down the internal temperatures of his intermediate slip up coming out of that last corner. He's definitely going to feel the wear of those inter tyres, who is probably screaming for help. Definitely screaming. He's about 15 laps on those tyres. Maybe it's a good lap to take them off and not risk anything else. I can see him taking that left side of the track, but he goes towards that right side. He's going to take it on another lap as we come across the back straight. So lap 17. Campbell is still out in front, still setting 113.5s. He's just really clawing at every gap, every tenth of a second. Shane can seemingly find. It just seems that Campbell claws it back from anywhere, as Shane really having a good race for himself. He is, I believe, he's gone up 3 positions. That's good for him, and he does set the fastest lap with a 13.386. Good time for Shane Van Gisbergen. You've got the McLaren of Gob getting a 3-second time plate for track limits not being the best of days for the bottom 5, especially for Poof. Still around a minute behind the next car in front, which is Pugsy for P18. As you look to the drivers with the biggest gains, it is both Shane and Gisbergen's. The Shane and Gisbergen in P7 is going up 5 positions. And you've got the one in second place coming up 3. And then a bit of an honour mention to Scotty and Drop Air, both going up 4 positions. Ashton and Knights going up 3. And Gob going up 1, who started out the back of the grid, who's gonna possibly pit again for the intermediate tyres, as Dan is gonna retire from this Grand Prix in the pit lane, doing it safely, but unfortunately Sam does not know how to do it properly, and he's actually to come out on the pits. Hopefully that car gets out of the way very quickly. You're going to see him trundling around a second corner, but he's going to run alongside with the letter P. See where that car is. He's on the racing line as the letter P go around him. It's pretty much a traffic hazard, as Gob is going to retire from this session. There's a safety car out. He slipped up on that back straight to get past the Dan's AI, who is trundling along the track maybe, and the safety car is out. It's going to be a free pit stop for Campbell Adams, who's 27 seconds in front of Shane Van Gisbergen. The safety car is out. When is that Red Bull going to pit? As we're on lap 19. And after Gobbs cracks it into the wall, it's going to be a massive fight here between Van Gisberg and Websy. Maybe even Yusuf and Joshy pulling something out of the bag here. Maybe someone like Letter P, Dark and Shadows, or Mashed Potatoes and Scotty could pull something come these last 18 or so laps. But it just seems everyone's going to pit. Campbell Adams is going to trundle around with the safety car as everyone behind him is going to pit for fresh intermediate tyres here. Is around 40 seconds. You can see Campbell Adams warming up those probably screaming intermediates. He's been on them for so long since the start of this GP. He's built up a lovely gap between him and everyone else. It's 38 seconds between him and Shane Van Gisbergen, and as everyone else flies around into the pits. I do wonder if anyone has decided to stick it out. You got Mashed Potatoes starting on the hard compound tyre. That is a bit odd. Maybe the Max does something as he twats it into the wall or coming out the pit lane. Maybe that's his last. That was his last set of wets used. So he has to use a set of slicks, which is not the best idea. Here, Big Chris and Scotty have decided to stay out, as does Knights, Pugsy, and Poof, who are all going to fly around on semi-used intermediates. And Campbell is going to finally pit off those inters. He slaps on a brand new set of inters, and in front of him, he's going to get Poof to let him by. You can see everyone in the top six pitting for fresh tyres, and Scotty having the gamble to stay out. He will definitely have to pit come the end of this, as I'm pretty sure half the other drivers do as well. Speaking of pitting, Scotty is actually going to pit this lap. Yeah, though realise the safety car does have to come around and collect absolutely everyone. You can just see Poof and Campbell going around with the safety car. I believe Poof is trying to lap himself here. Campbell does let him by, and I believe Poof is going to try and unlap himself as he is coming towards the safety car. There's Sauber in front of a Red Bull. Who would have seen that? It reminds me of Nico Hulkenberg, who had a brilliant drive in Catalonia. Just Poof is allowed to unlap himself. That is good for the man in the Sauber team. Campbell leading the way as we're about to start lap 21, and as these drivers drive around, Campbell is actually going to go off track and just let cars in behind him unlap himself. Brilliant sportsmanship from the man in the Red Bull as we await for when this Grand Prix is going to resume. We're still waiting on Shane Van Gisbergen and Webb to at least catch up to Campbell Andrews. Campbell Andrews. Oh my lord, I am absolutely waffling over one. There's another Sauber of Ashton behind Campbell in the Red Bull, and I'm pretty sure Campbell is letting him by as well. Good sportsmanship yet again from the man in the Red Bull. I said Red Bull too many times. They should sponsor me for their bloody energy drinks. Oh boy. Campbell's actually lapped Ashton yet again, and them two are going to have a lovely fight almost as Campbell smashes the 150 meter braking board. In the process, Ashton actually glitching through the safety car. Yeesh. As you can see, Campbell in the background, just slowing down a little bit. Safety car is in this lap. Oh boy, I think Campbell's just in a wait for everyone to back up. He's going really slow, just waiting for Shane, Websy, and other people behind to at least catch up to everyone. You can just see Shane there, almost getting into contact with the Red Bull. But it's going to be those three as Websy, for some reason, has overtaken both of them. And Websy's going to start it off. I'm not sure what happened there. Websy's jumped the gun. He's taken both positions in front. He's going to lead this Grand Prix in a very odd way. Campbell just waiting for people to back up, just at least it's some form of action and some form of anything here. Campbell's going to dive around the outside, see if he can do something on Shane, but nothing there. He took one look and just decides to back out. The safety car's in, lap 22, Websy leads the way after taking advantage of both Campbell and Shane going slow. Campbell does get past Shane and Gisbergen as they're along side by side here. Campbell's a bit of a slipper coming out of that corner. Shane's going to be right there to take P2. And behind Campbell, you've got Yusuf, who does have that 3-second time penalty, but is gaining a massive gap on Sir Joshi, who is in P5. These four are definitely going to find this contact between the Red Bull and the Alpine, driving each other almost off the circuit. They're rubbing wheel to wheel here. Websy is gapping them. Campbell Andrews with a great move around the inside of the Alpine. The Alpine's going to try the switch back here. Campbell, there's contact yet again. And Campbell gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits because of it. That is unfortunate for the Red Bull. Has almost ruined his chances of winning this race. But he can pull something out of the hat like he did at the start. You can see Shane Van Gisbergen on the tail of that Red Bull, getting to Usyk around the inside. No, he takes a look and decides to not do any mashed potatoes in the background. Who start on the hards is slipped down the order to P16. Maybe try and save an extra set. Unfortunate for him, but Shane Van Gisbergen, the man in P7. Yes, there are two of them. He's going to set a fastest lap with a 13.1 as the rain is slowly coming to an end. You can see the dry line Grand Prix. Websy still leads, but Campbell Andrews is still hot on his tail, as is Shane Van Gisbergen for P3. As you look towards the Red Bull of Shane, he's just up the rear wing of the Williams of Websy. Can he make any stick coming into this long straight, which would be the second, or he's still technically, he's the secondary race. Campbell's that's the fastest second sector. He's come to life on those fresh intermediates. Where's there's a bit of a slip up coming out the corner, and that's for the advantage back to the Red Bull man of Campbell Adams. He sets the fastest lap with a 12.3. Someone stop him. Stop this man at all costs. At Cleveland, at least, please. Oh my lord, I've never seen such fast of a time on the intermediates. That really shows why he's world number one of Austria. And as he has a bit of a slip up, as I say, that bit of commentator's curve, slipping up on the curving, he still gained all that time back on Websy, who has a slip up of his own. Shadows, it's another 3-second time penalty for track limits. With Campbell Adams is right up the rear of that Williams. Can he make any stick coming in? He's going to try the outside, late braking from the Red Bull. He's almost forced wide, has to ride the curving, but he's gained a lot better traction than the Williams, and he takes away Websy's P1, but Websy gets back at him and keeps his position nice and tight in his little hands. As we're going to go to lap 25, there's around 10 or so laps left. Ashton gets the move on Pugsy for P13. It's going to be carnage up and down. Campbell yet again having a slip up on that first turn, outside curving. It's going to be chaos with these last 10 laps. The rain is still falling, but for how much longer? Campbell had a lot better traction than Websy coming out of sector 2 in that middle part. You've got mashed potatoes moving aside for these two drivers. There's a bit of a move on the outside maybe, but none there for Campbell, who takes that inside line. He's going to have a lot better traction than the Williams, who's going to take the defensive approach here. But that's going to give him slipstream to the Red Bull. He's going to try it around the outside, a late braking yet again from Campbell, but not enough to warrant a move, as Websy will keep his P1 for now. They're coming across the back straight. Can they make anything stick here? The time, the gap is slowly forming. It's around 1.8 tenths of a second. Websy has a bit of a slip up around the penultimate corner as lap 26 is involved now. There's still everything to fight for. Shane Van Gisbergen is behind them. Yusuf may have something to say about it because these three are fighting for so long. Shane actually has a great view of these two battling in front. Can anything happen? Come the end of this race, there's about 10 laps now to go, and it's going to be absolutely chaotic between the top three, maybe the top four if Yusuf can get within that 3/10 of a gap to Shane. You see Shane yet again on the back straight, but Campbell is still on the tail of Websy coming into this second last one. He's going to try it around the air inside this time of the Williams. A bit of contact as Websy tries to stick it yet again, but Campbell takes the lead of the race and builds a solid gap already to the Williams. Oh, what a move done, and justice may have been served for Campbell Adams as Wesley took the advantage of Campbell's sportsmanship, letting the field back up. Campbell taking his rightful place in P1. Shane almost looked towards that inside line, but nothing yet. Dark and shadows. Yet again, another 3-second time penalty for track limits. You wonder, Campbell, he's got that 3-second penalty on his head, maybe looking to appeal it through the contact with Websy just a couple of laps ago. He may want to have that looked at by the stewards to see if he can at least keep a podium on the card to him. As there's a 7/10 of a gap, Knights leads the session. Unfortunate for him, who just didn't have the best of races down in P15, and that will probably be his race over as mashed potatoes in P16. He's still on those hard compound tyres when he did pit. Websy is 6.8 tenths behind Campbell Adams, just trying to fight for something here. But that Red Bull is a very, very different machine today. Oh, you can just see Shane in the back of Websy and Campbell having a bit of a flip of that to make him lose a lot of time to the Williams, who's in for P2. Shane and another as the rain. I believe the sun is slowly starting to come in. So the clouds are lighting up a little bit. It's the weather is ever changing here in Austria. The rain is falling very slowly. It could be time towards the end for some dry racing, maybe, if the heavens above do open up. But Campbell is going to look to get with 3 seconds in front of Websy, who's still hot on his tail, and just within that second the gap. There's a caution in sector 2, that is mashed potatoes in the actually I'm sorry, B carb of Dark and Shadows having a moment coming out of what would be the third or fourth corner if the layout was normal. He's in P10. He does have, I believe, a couple. He's got 9 seconds of time penalties. So that'll push up, drop there into that P10 position. Actually, Shane Van Gisbergen in P7 has 13 seconds. So he sped in the pit lane as well. Unfortunate for both of them, Aston did pit off to get that 10-second penalty out of there. There is an Aston moving to the side. I believe that was Knights to get lapped by Shane Van Gisbergen. 13 seconds worth of penalties. He's going to make Scotty go up a position. He just needs to push to get P6 from letter P. You've got Junkyard, who's gonna try something. He's come out on the end on the medium compounded tyres here. 6 laps ago, the rain has stopped. So could this be time for some dry racing, as I did say before here? Could it be enough just for a couple of laps of absolute carnage? People are pitting Yusuf, Shane McGisberg, and pitting in off those intermediate tyres, and it looks like the track is still that little bit greasy. Campbell Adams passes yet another car to get lapped as they're coming around the back of the second sector. Maybe it's time for Campbell Adams to pit, and a couple of drivers are behind him to maybe pit on the slick set of tyres. Which on they go? Will probably go from mediums or softs, as the softs do wear a lot in this game. There's a caution in sector 2. I believe that is the Haas Junkyard, who slipped off those mediums, so maybe it's not ready yet. The track is still very greasy. You can see him losing a lot of grip, slipping around at P14. Not in the best races for the McLaren team. And all the rest of races for Junkyard, who's struggling on those medium tyres. And you see Campbell Adams still leading the way. With around 5 laps to go, Campbell leads the way 3 seconds in front of Websy. He's got a time penalty basically redundant at this point if he can keep a hold in that little 3 second zone buffer. But for now, it looks to be a great drive from him. He's led almost every lap. Campbell Adams starting on pole. Yusuf another 3 second time penalty for him. That knocks him to 6 seconds. He's been one of the drivers that pit on the slicks, on the mediums actually, for the last 6 laps or so. He slips off just a little bit coming out that last one into sector 2. He's got a lot of time to gain on letter P. He's gaining around a 10th or 2 every straight. Campbell Adams 111.6 on a dry track. Oh my lord. Someone stop this man. It is definitely possible for some dry. The Campbell is definitely going to stick it on these inters, as I'm guessing would Websy. And so Josh Shane comes out of the pits on the soft compound tyres. He's going to keep P4, and can he at least get a little bit of a gap to Joshy, who's still riding now in P3. DRS is enabled, the track is dry enough, and that means the slicks are going to be a lot faster than those runners who are still on the inters. As we quickly look, see what tyre people are on. Big Chris, who was on 21 lap old intermediate, finally comes into the pits and slats on a set of soft. The top 3 are all still on intermediate tyres, apart from Knox down in P14, who's still on those green lovely tyres. Dark and Shadows gets past Chris, but Chris was coming out of the pit lane on fresher soft tyres. We're looking back up. Campbell Adams is going to pit. He's pitting on the medium compound for 3 last laps. Websy gets a 3 second time penalty as the top 2 are still running on the inters. Campbell may have done a bit of a stuff up there. He knows he didn't have enough traction and enough give on, and will that bite him in the behind come the end of it, or will Joshy and Websy pit? Joshy now looking in prime position. He's gaining time on Websy just a little bit, staying within 3.1 seconds. Websy has a bit of a slip up coming out of, I believe that would have been turn 3 to turn 4 on the normal layout. Websy is 3.4 now. He's gained a bit of time as opposed to losing it. Websy might have pulled a masterclass here to stay on that intermediate compound for another lap, but will he keep it on this lap as he's coming around that left-hand side of the track? He's going to stay out and fight for the race win on the enters on a dry track. Shadows gets another 3 second time penalty, and Josh is going to fight him all the way here. Lap 34 is inbound. 15 lap old intermediate tyres as opposed to the first lap old mediums of Campbell Adams. He's got traffic to boot in front of him though. 7.6 seconds. Shane Van Gisbergen with a 108.2, sets the fastest lap on the soft. Yusuf has retired in the Grand Prix. He's decided to come into the pits, and unfortunately for him, in a brilliant P5 position for the VCARB team, he's decided to send it into the pits and said, I've had enough. What on earth was he thinking? He was on for a brilliant finish of the caution, sector 1. That's just, I believe, Yusuf coming out of the pit. There is Junkyard Dog having yet another moment on those medium compound. Campbell Adams is 4.6 behind Joshy, who's 4 seconds behind Wesley. This could be a fight for the last 2 laps. Campbell Adams has made up a lot of ground to the top 2. Is it going to be enough, though, to go for it the rest of the race? Could he have actually stuck it on the soft and got a little bit of traction? But the softs to wear a lot more than the medium. Who knows what's going to happen? Lap 35, Campbell Adams, 107.1 as he starts lap 35. He's 3 seconds now behind Josh. He's gaining so much time to the top 2. Webbsy still leads it. He still has that 3 second time penalty looming over. Campbell Adams also has that 3 second time penalty looming over. But for now, he's stuck in P4. Actually, no, he's on to P3. He's getting that time back on Shane Van Gisbergen. As you can see just in front of him, Sir Joshy in that Mercedes is struggling for grip. Come the end of his Grand Prix on the intermediate compound, as opposed to Campbell's 2-lap-old mediums. Because Joshy has a lockup as I stumble over my words. Campbell Adams takes P2 and looks to create that 3 second gap. He's 4 seconds behind Webbsy. It's probably not going to be enough. Shadows with another 3 second time penalty for track limits. And we start the penultimate lap. Webbsy's in front by 3.4 seconds. Is it going to be enough? Campbell has a bit of a slip up coming around the first corner. Is it going to be the deciding thing? Ashton gets another 3 second time penalty. Time penalties are flying around. Josh is losing so much time on Campbell. It looks like Campbell's have enough grip to get P2, but Webbs is still flying around on the intermediates. The grip will be worse for him. The tyres are screaming their head off. You can see behind him Campbell on those mediums, stalking him like Jaws, like that bite that he bit off. The shark gnawing at the rear of the Williams. It's coming to the second last corner. Webbsy always has a bit of a lock. There's a caution in sector 1. There's an Alpine going off of the first corner. I'm not sure who that is. It's Shane Van Gisbergen as mashed potatoes a 3 second time penalty. Coming in to the final straight, Campbell Adams takes the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix, but there's contact between him and Webbsy coming across the line. There's more contact, and Webbsy and Campbell Adams fights towards the end. Webbsy gets a 3 second time penalty, and that's going to nullify Campbell Adams. It's time penalty as Campbell Adams is going to take the win here in Austria. What a fight between the last two. Shane Van Gisbergen comes home in P3. Joshy finishes in P4. And Letterby will cross the line in the Scuderia Ferrari for P5. Scotty up the back, 20 seconds behind. Is driving brilliantly for the Williams team, who's going to come across lovely braking towards the end. Bit of a slip up as Mashed Potato slips it out of the line. Scotty gets P6. Shane Van Gisbergen behind him. He's also slipped up. He's lost out P7 to the other Ferrari of Big Chris. Van Gisbergen, the second one, comes across in P8. Drop Bear slapping it in P9. Dark and Shadows coming into the pits for some reason. He's going to finish in P10. What an ending to this Austrian Grand Prix. Campbell Adams, your race winner after a great fight with Webbsy up and down, even with Shane Van Gisbergen. It is the Red Bull team winning in Austria. As you see, the podium celebrations beginning. A Red Bull, a Williams, and an Alpine atop the podium. as they celebrate a wondrous Austrian Grand Prix. The weather definitely a factor in this race. You have to wonder, is Campbell and Adams the real deal for this season? An absolutely monumental drive from the Red Bull driver. As driver of the day does go to, I believe, Scotty, who drove from P14 to P6 in a great race. Fastest lap goes to Campbell Adams, who sticks it from pole to the win in Austria. Websy and Shane Van Gisbergen ran at your podium. Joshy, Letter P, Scotty, Big Chris, Drop Bear, and Shadows, and the other Shane Van Gisbergen ran at your Junkyard Dog, Ashton, Pugsy, Knights, J Cash, Poof, ran out the last of the drivers, and Yusuf, Gob, and Dan, the drivers, to retire from the session. Two of them into the pits. You have to wonder what Yusuf was doing, retiring in P5. Would have been a great position for the V-Cub team, but unfortunate for him. Maybe he had a different thing in mind, but the talking point today, Campbell Adams winning from pole. I'm your commentator, Golden Sniper. Checkered Flag is somewhere, running around somewhere. We do thank him for streaming nonetheless. And I will see you boys next week for the next round of pre-season. Toodaloo.